Our discussion for today is all about crimes against public order. Your crimes against public order is contained or can be located in your article, starting with your article 134 of your revised penal code. There are actually 18. Meron po tayong 18 na crimes against public order. Ano yung 18 na yon? We have your rebellion or insurrection, coup d'etat, conspiracy and proposal to commit coup d'etat, rebellion or insurrection, disloyalty of public officers or employees, inciting to rebellion, sedition, conspiracy to commit sedition, inciting to sedition, acts tending to prevent the meeting of Congress and similar bodies, your disturbance of proceedings at Congress or similar bodies, violation of parliamentary immunity, illegal assemblies, illegal associations, direct and indirect assaults, disobedience to summons issued by Congress, its committees, and even the constitutional commissions, resistance and obedience to a person in authority or agents of such person, tumultus and other disturbances of public order. We also have, there are 25 pala. So you also have your unlawful use of means of publication and unlawful utterances, your alarms and scandals, delivering prisoners from jails, evasion of service of sentence, evasion on occasion of disorders. I will give highlight po dun sa mga importante, okay? And yung mga hindi ko siguro ma-discuss, you can just have it as your reading assignment. And last two, you have your violation of conditional pardon and commission of another crime during service of penalty imposed for another previous offense. So, we start with the isa sa mga laging lumalabas sa board exam. Okay? This is your rebellion, coup d'etat, sedition, and your disloyalty. These crimes are considered to be political crimes. Okay? What are political crimes? A political crime or political crimes are those that are directly aimed against the political order, as well as common crimes as may be committed to achieve a political motive. The decisive factor is the intent or motive. So, lagi niyong tandaan, kung nakapatay kayo, kung nakapagnakaw kayo, and that act is considered to be private purpose, okay, and it is not for political motivation, then it cannot be, as stated in the case of People of versus Geronimo, killing, robbing for private purposes or profit without any political motivation would be separately punished and would not be absorbed in the crime of rebellion. So, what is the crime of rebellion as provided in your Article 134 of your revised penal code? There are two important elements in the crime of rebellion and insurrection. Okay, so in your rebellion, okay, or insurrection, there are two elements. The first one, dapat merong public uprising and taking arms against government. Okay? And when we say public uprising, ma'am, kailangan bang marami kami? Okay, kasi public, di ba pag public is dapat parang numerous kami, numbered kami. Okay, the answer there is no. Okay, when we say public uprising, as stated here, okay, it does not necessarily mean that you must be numerous. Okay, when we say public uprising, hindi kailangang marami. And when we say also taking arms against government, anong ibig sabihin nun? Okay? When we say taking arms against government, okay, you should also be considering that you are using mga baril, Okay? Yung mga baril. Okay? In any kind of baril. So, the nature here or the purpose of the uprising, bakit ba kayo nag-uprise? Bakit ba kayo nag-gather against the government? This should be the purpose. There are only two purposes. Pwedeng ito, which is remove from the allegiance to said government or its laws, the territory of the Philippines or any part thereof, or any body, land, naval, or armed forces. Pwede rin ang purpose nyo is to deprive the chief executive or Congress wholly or partially of any of their powers or prerogatives. Lagi niyong tandaan na kung gumamit kayo ng unlicensed firearm during rebellion, that crime, special crime, is absorbed in the crime of rebellion. Okay? If used in furtherance of or incident to in connection with the crime of rebellion, insurrection, or sedition. So, tandaan nyo yun. Kung, di ba sabi ko nga sa'yo, taking arms against government ka kasi. Siyempre, gagamit ka ng mga baril. Okay? Pwede ring itak kung gusto mo. So, kung gumamit ka ng isang baril na hindi lisensyado, okay, that will be absorbed in the crime of rebellion, insurrection, and sedition. As long as ang pag-taking up of arms against government mo is for or in furtherance of such crime. So, ano ba ang nature ng rebellion, ma'am? The crime of rebellion or yung inciting it is by nature a crime of masses or multitude. Okay? It is a vast movement of men and a complex net of intrigues and plots. Ang salitang rebellion po evokes not merely a challenge to the constituted authorities. Okay? It is also a civil war on a bigger or lesser scale. Lagi niyong tandaan yung element sa rebellion na dapat it must be a public uprising at taking up of arms against the government. So, I'll give you an example in the case of People versus Almazan. Okay? In the case of People versus Almazan, okay, 37 OG 1932, 400 na sakdals, okay, ang nakipaglaban sa mga constabulary soldiers. Okay? 400 sakdals after fighting the constabulary soldiers took possession of the municipal building and they proclaimed the independence of the Philippine Republic. Yung constabulary forces, they suppressed the uprising. In this case, there is a public uprising and taking arms against the government when they fought the constabulary soldiers. So, by proclaiming the Philippine independence, they remove the locality under their control from the allegiance to the government or its laws. Anong pinagkaiba, ma'am, ng rebellion sa treason? Okay? Lagi niyong tandaan na sa rebellion, okay, the difference between rebellion and treason is this one. I don't think I stated here. But, ayan, ito pala. The difference between rebellion and treason is that sa rebellion, ang purpose is taking or uprising against the government. Sa treason, di ba na-discuss ko the last time, hindi uprising. Okay? Sa treason, ang meron is levying. Okay? Ano yung levying? Levying of war. Okay? The levying of war is done to aid the enemy. Okay? The purpose in rebellion is to substitute the existing government with another. Sabi, rebellion po kasi kontra mo yung current na gobyerno. So, gusto mong palitan yung gobyerno. Sa treason naman po is hindi. Okay? Sa treason, ang purpose niya is to deliver the government to the enemy. Okay? Mas maganda sana kung meron na-flash yung ko sa screen nyo, but anyway, I do not know why I cannot do so. Pwede naman kanina. So anyway, yeah, wait lang ha. I'll try to if this one anyway, nagkakaproblema ako. Anyway, yaw nyo na nga. So, let's continue. How about rebellion and sedition? Ang pinagkaiba nito sa sedition, ano bang sedition? Okay? Sa rebellion kasi, there must be taking up of arms against the government. Sa sedition, hindi kailangan na may armas. Okay? Sa sedition, it is sufficient na merong public uprising na tumultus. Okay? And ang rebellion, di ba ang sabi ko nga sa inyo, ang rebellion, the purpose of rebellion is to overthrow yung current na gobyerno. Pero sa sedition, hindi naman. The purpose in sedition can be political or social. Okay? So, sa sedition po, you are just against the established government. Okay? Hindi kailangang paalisin mo sila. Okay? How about insurrection? Parang wala naman ng insurrection ngayon. But anyway, okay, an insurrection is a movement where you seek or merely seek to effect some change, mga minor change sa gobyerno. Okay? Don't worry, I'll be recording also this material. So, just in case nahihirapan kayo to cope up with me during discussion, you can just go over with this discussion pa. Next one is we have your coup d'etat. Okay? The proper pronunciation is coup d'etat. Hindi po coup d'etat. Okay? What is coup d'etat? Coup d'etat, as provided in your Article 134-A, has the following elements. Number 1, that the offender is a person or persons belonging to the military or police or holding any public office or employment. Okay? So, dapat yung offender daw po ay police o militar o kaya meron siya, basta empleyado siya ng gobyerno. Number 2, it is committed. Paano ginagawa? O, di ba yan sinasabi ko sa inyo, paano yung how, why, when, and where, who. Okay? Yung mga katanungan na yon, yun ang laman ng elements ninyo. So, how is it committed? Dung crime ng coup d'etat. Tapos na tayo sa who. Who is the offender? Yon, yung military or police or any person belonging or holding a public office or employment. Punta tayo sa how. How is it committed? It is committed by swift attack accompanied by violence or intimidation. Okay? And to whom is the attack directed? Yung attack na gagamitin sa coup d'etat is against the duly constituted authorities of the Republic of the Philippines. It can also be yung mga military camp, yung mga communication networks, or any public utilities or facilities. And last one, ano ang purpose ng attack? Okay? Bakit, para saan ba yung attack? The purpose of the attack is to seize or diminish the state power. Ma'am, ano ang essence ng coup d'etat? Bakit ba may nagku-coup d'etat? Okay? Ang essence po ng crime na coup d'etat is a swift attack upon the facilities of the Philippine government, military camps or installations. Yung mga communication networks, yung mga ABS-CBN, GMA, yan, they are also included. Mga public utilities, your market, your LRT, MRT, mga ganyan. yung mga Meralco, Cagelco, if you use attack to seize or diminish the state power, okay, yung mga yan, then you can be charged for the crime of coup d'etat. And ano ba ang objective sa coup d'etat? Ang objective po sa coup d'etat is to paralyze the government. Okay? So, that is coup d'etat. Ang pinagkaiba ng coup d'etat sa rebellion is, di ba sabi ko nga sa inyo, public uprising ang rebellion. So, sa rebellion, kailangan, syempre, more than one. Okay? So, sa rebellion, there must be a public uprising or multitude of people. Sa coup d'etat naman, it can be carried out singly or simultaneously. So, pwede kang isa or may kasama kang iba. Okay? Okay? Tapos pa, unti-unti. Yung mga ganyan. So, ang rebellion, ang purpose ng rebellion or ang essence ng rebellion is public uprising at saka taking up arms against the government. Pero sa coup d'etat is yung swift attack against the government. Lagi niyong tandaan na sa coup d'etat, ang mga taong offender, yung offender natin dyan, either PNP o kaya military or public officers. Okay? Pero sa rebellion, hindi kailangang ang offender sa rebellion, offenders need to be committed by uniformed personnel of the military or the police. Sa rebellion mga uniformed personnel ng PNP o kaya ng military. Sa coup d'etat, ang purpose ng offender is to paralyze the government. Pero sa rebellion, hindi paralyze, kundi overthrow the existing government. Okay? So, in your Article 135 naman, dyan yung mababasa yung penalty for the crime of rebellion, insurrection, or coup d'etat. So, magkakaiba yan. Sa leader ka ba? Or isa ka bang participant? Okay? Magkaiba ang penalty. So, kailan mo malalaman kung isa kang leader o isang participant? Ang leader po sa crime na rebellion, insurrection, at saka coup d'etat is a person who promotes, maintains, or heads a rebellion or insurrection. Okay? Or you can also be a person who leads, directs, or commands others to undertake a coup d'etat. Ano naman ang participant, ma'am? Paano ko malalaman na participant lang ako? Ang participant po kasi, syempre, mas mababa yung penalty niyan. Okay? Any person who participates or executes the command, okay? Or any person who participates or executes direction or command of other in undertaking, okay? Then, you are just a participant. Ano ang penalty natin sa mga leader? Any person who promotes, maintains, or heads a rebellion or insurrection, ang penalty niyan is reclusion perpetua. Okay? Pero kung isa ka lang participant, you will just suffer the penalty of reclusion temporal. Okay? And of course, how about if it's a coup d'etat? If you lead in a coup d'etat, then the crime or the penalty is reclusion perpetua. Pero if you will just participate in coup d'etat, the penalty is only reclusion temporal. Next one. We have your Article 136. Okay? In your Article 136 is that it provides for your conspiracy and proposal to commit rebellion. Of course, alam nyo na kung ano ang conspiracy at ano ang proposal. Lagi nyong tandaan na mere conspiracy and mere proposal are not punishable under the law. Okay? Pero, tandaan nyo that in your Article 136, magkaiba yan. conspiracy to commit rebellion or insurrection or proposal to commit rebellion or insurrection. Magkaibang crime yan, yung conspiracy at saka yung proposal. So, kailan nagkakaroon ng conspiracy to commit rebellion? Meron pong conspiracy to commit rebellion kung there are 2 or more persons come to an agreement to rise publicly and take arms against the government for any of the purposes of rebellion and decide to commit it. Okay? Ano naman ang proposal? Okay? Ang proposal po is proposal to commit rebellion, I should say. There is a proposal to commit rebellion when the person who has decided to rise publicly and take arms against the government for any of the purposes of rebellion proposes its execution to some other persons or persons. Question: is advocacy to communism tantamount to conspiracy to commit rebellion? The answer there is no. Dahil, ang sabi ng batas, mere advocacy, okay, of theory or principle is insufficient to commit or to constitute conspiracy to commit rebellion. Okay, unless the advocacy is converted into action. Lagi nyo pong tandaan na there is no conspiracy when there is no agreement and no decision to commit rebellion. Okay? In your Article 137 na, ma'am, it provides for your disloyalty of public officers and employees. Okay? Yan. Kung hindi daw kayo loyal sa gobyerno. Okay? So, kailan po na kukomit ito, ma'am? Okay? Punta muna tayo sa acts of disloyalty. Paano ko ba malalaman na disloyal ako? Okay? Parang sa boyfriend and girlfriend nyo. Okay? Kailan nyo ba malalaman na hindi na kayo loyal? Okay, number 1. Siyempre, punta tayo doon sa revised penal code, hindi sa love life ninyo. There are 3 actually. Okay? Okay? Number 1 is by failing to resist a rebellion by all means in their power. Okay? Number 2, by continuing to discharge the duties of their offices under the control of the rebels. And an additional is your number 3, is by accepting appointment to office under them. Okay? Lagi niyong tandaan na ang crime of disloyalty of public officers presupposes existence of rebellion by other persons. And always remember that the offender under Article 137 must not be in conspiracy with the other rebels. We go now with your Article 138. Your 138 provides for the inciting to rebellion or insurrection. Ano ang penalty mo sa inciting? Okay, it's only prison mayor. Okay? There are 3 elements in a crime of rebellion. Okay? So here, the offender in this Article 138, he does not take arms or is not open hostility against the government. So, wala siyang dala-dalang armas. Okay? Hindi naman siya openly against the government. Pero, okay, he is liable under 138 because he incites others to the execution of any of the acts of rebellion. So, kumbaga, yung ibang tao ang sinasabihan niya na mag-execute ng crime ng rebellion. So, that is inciting. Okay? Ma'am, paano ba ang inciting? Paano ba nagagawa ang incite? Paano ba? Okay? Inciting is done by means of speeches, pwedeng proclamation, writings, emblems, banners. Okay? So, kung maglagay ka ng tarpaulin, o kaya ng mga banner, okay? Kaya nagkakalat ka ng bond paper na it contains words that may result to rebellion or insurrection. Okay? So, that is inciting. Kumbaga, ginagawa mo yung best mo na yung ibang tao ang mag-commit. Okay? You let others do the crime of rebellion or insurrection. Next one is your Article 139 or your sedition. Medyo mahaba-haba ang sedition. Okay? Pero ano ba ang elements ng sedition? Okay? Medyo unti lang naman. Okay? Ang sedition po, okay, is the offender rise publicly and tumultuously. Number 2 is they employ force, intimidation, or other means outside of legal methods. Number 3 is that the offender employ any of those means to attain any of the following, subject to number 1, it can be to prevent the promulgation or execution of any law, okay, or the holding of popular election. Pwede din, they prevent the national government or any public officer from freely exercising its or his functions, or prevent the execution of any administrative order. It can be likewise by inflicting any act of hate or revenge of any person or property of any public officers or employee. Or they commit for any political or social end any act of hate or revenge against private persons or any social cases. Or, lastly, it can be a despoil of any political or social end, okay, any person, municipal or province, or the national government of all its property or any part thereof. Here, yung offender po sa sedition is pwedeng public or private person. At kung gumamit ka also ng armas na hindi lisensyado, yes, it's also absorbed in the crime. Okay? Ma'am, sa crime ng sedition ba kailangan bang merong armas? Okay, the answer there is no. The purpose of offenders in rising publicly is just to create commotion, gulo. Okay? Sa sedition, ang gusto lang is mag-create ng gulo, disturbances, okay, by way of protest to express their dissent and disobedience to the government. At lagi niyong tandaan, sa crime ng sedition po, hindi lang siya against the government. Pwede rin sa officer, pwede rin sa property. Okay? It can be it could be against a private person or social class. Ma'am, ano ba yung tinatawag nating tumultuous acts? Ano yung tumultuous acts? Lagi niyong tandaan na ang isang aksyon ay considered tumultuous if caused by more than 3 persons who are armed or provided with the means of violence. Sa tumultuous acts, more than 3. So, 4 and above. So, sa sedition po, hindi pwedeng 3 lang sila, hindi pwedeng 2 lang sila. They must be more than 3. Because sedition is committed by means of tumultuous acts. Okay. Question. Ma'am, paano kung walang public uprising? Okay? Ano ang crime na nakomit, ma'am, kung wala siyang public uprising? Okay? If the purpose of the offender is to attain the objects of rebellion or sedition by force or violence, pero wala pong public uprising, the crime committed is only direct assault. Okay? Suppose na may napatay during sedition. Is murder absorbed in the crime of sedition? The answer, there is no. Kasi mas mabigat yung murder. Okay? So, no, murder cannot be absorbed in the crime of sedition. If murder is committed, okay, it will be separately treated. So, one charge for murder and another charge for sedition. Unlike sa rebellion, di ba sa rebellion kasi mga absorb. Next one is your Article 141. Your Article 141 speaks of the conspiracy to commit sedition.